What else is new with you? What you been doing this last week?
I honestly don't think there's anything new. I bought new
Nothing.
glasses.
Got new glasses?
Yeah, I bought new glasses.
4 eyes.
Exactly. Because you definitely don't wear glasses, Joker.
I think I had them. Didn't I wear them last week? I think I had glasses on last week.
The goal is that I wear glasses more often. I haven't had new glasses in 14 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
These are from when I was 14.
Yeah, did your prescription change at all?
No. Nope. Still the same.
I had totally my eyes got, I think, a little worse in like 10 years or something. I don't know. I don't even remember. When did you always have glasses? When did you get your glasses?
I think it was 8. It was third grade.
8? Okay. That was something that took me a long time to get. Like, my parents were upset because they realized why I was scared of the ball in baseball when I was younger, because I didn't get glasses until I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, maybe. Mm-hmm. We didn't realize I needed them until then. So super late into it, and then all of a sudden we got them for me. So, and then I pretty much wore them. I moved into contacts pretty quickly. I just realized I was like, contacts are just the better option. So I'll just run those instead.
Yeah, I got contacts. I think I was allowed to get them in 8th grade. So I wore glasses for 5 years and then switched and mostly wore contacts.
Interesting. Well, that'll be perfect, because I know you're still playing that word game on your stream, but that's our cold open. Welcome to episode 14 of Positively Reviewed. That's we're the cold open. Nessa wasn't prepared for it, and that's why it's perfect.
That's okay. I have my tea.
We're here again, an actual 2 week in a row. We made it.
Look at us.
The third week in the row. No, we did Fast 9, and
you and Daya.
We did. We did some. That's right. So, he tried to convince me. We tried to go to. He wanted to go to Reminiscence this morning, which is the Hugh Jackman movie that I heard was actually pretty good. I trust Hugh Jackman movies.
I do too. That is a valid.
We're at a point. Well, he's at a point in his career, because he's the Wolverine, that he can just do whatever he wants. Right? Actors hit a point where they literally just do whatever the heck they want, and they don't work on projects they don't want to work on anymore. And that's where he's at. He's at the age and the point where he's like, I have so much money, I don't care. He's super talented in so many other ways with his music career and stuff as well, that that was the look of, you didn't realize he has a music career, did you?
No, that was, I'm sorry, what?
He's in Australia, I would say. What is he's a piano man. So,
Australia is, I believe, correct, because I do.
Multi-instrumentalist, dancer and producer. Oh, dancer.
Got it.
That's right. That one as well. Can't remember what else he's done. But point is now he gets to pick whatever roles he does, and he's pretty picky. I think. I don't think he's overly picky. No, I think he is. I think he is pretty picky. In a good way. Is that he truly looks at projects and he's like, this is going to be a good one, and decides to. That's what he does. So.
They also have to have a lot of money in order to afford Hugh Jackman, which means they probably have a decent budget for like good directors
all on him
and special effects. One would hope. You never know, though. That's true. That is a risk.
Right. So but I'm trying to think. What else does it say here? I don't know if he plays. All right, okay. Here you go. Guitar, piano, and violin. There you go. So I remember him for his piano. I think he's had concerts and stuff that he does. So he's a talented man. He's a beautiful.
It's impressive.
Man.
Supposed to be a very nice, decent human being as well. So like all around. So anyway,
I've heard he's just the perfect person.
Dea tried to con you into going and seeing the movie, but it sounds like it failed.
Yeah, that was what that was about. Yeah, he was like, this morning, hey, you want to go see if you could sneak in a movie at like 12:30? And I was like, I doubt it. I'm going to try and double shift. Plus, I'm going to do that. I'm already on 4 hours of sleep, so this is gonna go great. It's great. I gotta go something right after this, so we're on a bit of a time crunch. Not really. We got plenty of time. Maybe I'm a little bit of a time crunch. Hour.
Got it.
Whatever works. I got the perfect amount of time, but. Alrighty, but works. We are doing Splitgate. Oh, yes. I need to ask you a question. Hey, when does Valve make a game with a 3 in it? That's the question.
Yeah. Did you hit your head, Joker? I know you had a rough morning. I know you had a hard time today. You had some unfortunate shower timing.
Oh my, we'll talk about that later.
Still not going to excuse you missing out on the most basic video game tried and true commandment of existence. 3s are not within the Valve Bible, all right? You just skip right over them.
Yeah, they do. I really hope they keep that, like, just forever. I think, isn't there one game that Valve has that has a 3 in it? I think they actually have one that came out in like 2005 or something. Would have to be I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. I used to have a friend, I guess it was family friend, who worked there actually at Valve. He did a really, really cool job that I won't get too deep into, but he was basically a memory allocation guy.
Oh yeah, we talked about that on a previous podcast.
Did we? Okay.
About the Dota memory allocation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, because we were talking about Dota. Yeah, that's right. So, but I hope they if they ever make games again, because they don't make games anymore. They're a hardware and software company now, but like not gaming software.
No. I would even say they're very hard leaning into that software, the hardware side of things. Heavy lean into the hardware and platform.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned this because Portal.
And Portal is important.
Splitgate is, for those, the quick rundown is Halo plus Portal. And that's exactly what it is. It's not like, hey, you don't have to compare every game. Nope, that's what it is. Like the devs will tell you they wanted to make Halo, but with Portal. That's it. So
there is no.
That's what we have there.
Yeah. I was listening to another podcast about indie games earlier today, and they were talking about a game that is basically Doom, but Bethesda cease and desisted them on the name, so it's called like D-Returned or something. I don't remember what the game was called, but instead of like Doom Chapter 2 or whatever, they just changed it to D so that they could get around the copyright side of things, because it was basically just supposed to be Doom with like another chapter added or something.
We're seeing a lot of companies do this. I mean, that's what Back 4 Blood is.
I thought that was the same developer and everything.
It is the same developer, but they can't use the Left 4 Dead title.
Oh,
that's why.
Really?
That's why they've changed all the zombies, and they don't have the same names and everything. So because it's no longer part of Valve.
Got it.
But they wanted to make it obvious that they were making a Left 4 Dead game without saying Left 4 Dead. So it's Back 4 Blood.
Got it. I just assumed that it was like I assumed that was intentional. That, you know, Left 4 Dead had the 4 in it, so you couldn't be like Left 5 Dead.
But the last one was Left 4 Dead 2. And you're right, I guess they wouldn't do a Left 4 Dead 3, Valve, but no, this isn't part of Valve anymore, so it's just Turtle Rock Studios. So.
Got it. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, anyways, yeah, so this is Portal plus Halo. And neither 343 nor Valve seems to be suing them, so that's a good step.
No. So far, I don't think they would. It's so different. We're fine. Portal didn't invent portals, sadly. They just invented the good way to do them in gaming, where it actually looks good. Which is super complicated, by the way.
To make good-looking portals?
Understand. Yeah, well, just the concept of having how your cameras and how looking through portals so that you can see out the other side of where you shot the portal. Super complicated. It's insanely complicated.
Yeah, I could see. I hadn't thought about that as a development challenge, but I can see where that would be a struggle.
It's like doing water reflections, but with moving cameras and able to shoot through and utilize teleportate. Actually, going through the portal is simpler than seeing through the portal, if that makes any sense. So.
No, I hadn't thought about that, but there's lots of fun mechanics that we'll get into when we talk about the game.
Yeah, we'll get into it. This is more, I should say, right at the top, this is more of a free-form kind of open conversation with this one. I realized from the last time we did a gaming one, which is a long time ago for a reason.
Joker's scarred.
I didn't like
Joker
it.
is still scarred.
I still hate the Outriders episode. It was a gem among them for sure, if that's how you want to say about it. But I cut out, I think, 3 entire segments from that episode because I was listening to it bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. And you know what? You're gonna have those sometimes. So, but this is going to be a lot more freeform because we don't have as many facts and stuff. So we'll actually be more into the meaty meat.
Yes.
More in general, but we might also talk about things like we already talked about Portal and other things earlier than before we've even really gotten into this. So, but I guess before we get further, I guess we should introduce what the podcast actually is.
Yeah, so welcome to the Positively Reviewed podcast, where we give you totally unbiased, 100% real reviews of media. And of course, we pick the greatest thing to ever exist so that we can tell you how awesome it is. If you didn't pick up any slight hints of sarcasm in my tone, we say all positive things here. If you're looking for a super balanced review, sometimes maybe it still is because we super love the media, but in general, there's lots of spoilers. We focus on the good stuff, the stuff that we loved, and we just want to have good vibes and hang out and talk about cool things, movies, music, video games. And this week, it's video games. It's Splitgate. And if you want to talk about Splitgate, you want to promote the podcast, you want to hang out with us, you're going to look for POS Reviewed POD on social media, or find us on podcast platforms at Positively Reviewed Podcast.
You're really good at that. I could never be that clean at saying all those. I'm too awkward. It just comes down to straight awkwardness. I just be like, yeah, we're a podcast, we do things. That would be how I push out the social medias and stuff.
Fortunately, much of my early hosting footage has been lost into the ether. So you're now seeing like the 6, 5, 6, 7, whatever year later product.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's nice though. We don't really have to worry about spoilers.
No.
We ran into that a little bit with Outriders, is you didn't want to spoil it for me because I hadn't finished the game.
That was one of the big problems, but I'm guessing you never even went back to finish the game. Yeah.
No, I have not touched it.
You never played the game again, did you?
I loved that game. I really want to play it. I keep thinking about playing it, and I keep going, but I don't remember how to play it. And I'm past the tutorial.
Oh.
So if I load into it, I need like a restart the tutorial, but where I'm at in the story button, so that it just reminds me what buttons to press, because I'm still stuck.
There's games like that all the time. I think the worst one recently for me in recent memory was Control, which such an amazing game. First off, God, that game was one of underrated, and I think it was praised pretty well, and it's still underrated, but so many amazing, insane. Remedy Software is easily, I think, the best AAA studio out there. Like they're my favorite. That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. They're my favorite storytelling studio, I should say. I don't know if they're the best game developers out there in the world, but I will definitely say they're currently my favorite storytellers. Just like Devolver Digital is my favorite publisher. But
Nice.
yeah, speaking of publishers, this one is created by 1047 Games.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Splitgate now.
Yeah,
and it's created and self-published because it's just a few people. I think they've got a lot more people now working on this game, but when was the first time? Did you play this at TwitchCon like 2 years ago? No?
It was both at TwitchCon and it was at a DreamHack. And I never saw it. I maybe walked by a booth, but no, I didn't play it until maybe a month ago or whenever they basically first relaunched and came back and you had to wait forever to get into the servers.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the fact. I didn't write that down. I guess they had such a huge influx of players because it came out on consoles as well as it kind of they called it a re-release because apparently there was so much stuff different in order to make it work for consoles that they just call it a re-release. But yeah, they literally had you sit in a queue, which I will agree is one of the worst trends that happened in gaming and still does happen, obviously, was the fact that you buy a game and typically on day one of a lot of games these days, for those who maybe aren't all that adept, I don't know how many people listen to this. I mean, I feel people who listen to this who are part of our audience know gaming more than they know movies and TV shows. But most games, I don't know most, but a lot of games require you to be online at all times, meaning you have to be connected to the internet just in order to play the game. Like, it won't let you. Destiny is a good example. It literally will not let you in past the start screen unless you're connected to the internet. And Splitgate is one because it's an only multiplayer game, so there's no campaign or anything anyways, so there's not much you can do. But a lot of games now, on the very first day, they have you sit in a queue. So you buy the game, you sit in line at GameStop. No one sits in line at GameStops at midnight releases. That's not a thing anymore. But you sit in line, you get your game, you download it, you spend all this time, and you hop on, and then you wait in a queue where you're like 10,000 in the queue as they're loading people into the game slowly over time. And it's
but is
not
that better or worse than actually waiting in line at a store and being cold?
Worse, way worse. Because I already spent the money on it. I want to just play the game.
But you didn't have to wait to buy it.
But now I'm just waiting afterwards. So I've already had the joy of spending the money for it, and now I'm just not getting the product.
The joy of spending the money. I don't know if that's really the joyful part for me.
It's all of it's not joyful. That's the problem.
But it makes sense, right? You can't hold that against game companies.
No. Servers,
in a multiplayer
game. What was the Division? The Division was pretty bad for a while with it, for the first few weeks of it. But yeah, it's not as simple as everyone's like, just buy more servers. Like, the game companies just need to do more servers. It's not. If only it was that simple, right? It's not as simple as just get more servers and all of a sudden more things work. It's typically how the games are coded, their networking and stuff like that, that can only handle so many people connecting to each other.
There's also just buying more servers might seem like an easy solution, but if you only need those more servers for a day and you had to buy them for a month or a year, or you had to like buy physical servers that you're going to be stuck with for like, depending on what service hosting you're using and the setup and like everything it takes to scale, and you're doing all of that work, and you're an indie game and you don't know whether 100 people or 500,000 people are going to be trying to play the game. Like, it's not worth it to invest when you don't know when it'll fix itself in a week.
Exactly. Well, I mentioned that I played this 2 years ago, I think. I think it's been 2 years at this point, at TwitchCon, the Twitch gaming convention. They had this game there.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first time they showed it off, but they had it there. devs were nice. The devs are awesome. First off, I know I sat down and I think I spent the most amount of time at the Splitgate booth than I did the convention floor. I'm a socially awkward person, so even at a convention where I'm surrounded by like-minded people, which we'll get into PAX. Ooh,
that's true.
Ooh.
Which actually, now that I think about it, you could have a guest next week who was actually at PAX. That could be a good episode for next week.
Ooh. Who could this person be? Is it somebody that we know? I know it's Torben.
Well, I know like 6 people going, so I was like, I have so many options in my head right now. I was like, who are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Fair enough. I don't think I know. I think he's the only person I know who's actually going. I'm gonna throw that out on Twitter. I want to find out if I know absolutely anyone who's going. It's gonna be a sad show. I just know PAX is always. Convention season is literally my favorite time of the year. I basically save money the entire year so that I can just blow it all at gaming conventions. And it's going to be a sad one this year. I don't think I know anyone who's going to it, so I'm not going to be like hanging out, going to like Fogo de Chao with someone, or not someone, a bunch of people.
Yeah.
We have all these yearly traditions at PAX, partying at near the aquarium in Seattle and things like that. That's on the outside, which is hanging out with people, which is what I care more about than anything else, of course, as you do. But the actual convention hall itself, is there going to be anything there? Like, they have giant expo halls and stuff, and it's always beautiful. PAX West is definitely, I think, the most grand of the PAXs from what I hear. They go really big scale. Again, it's an experience that I feel, even if you're not that big into gaming, you should go check out at least one time. I would suggest PAX West as yours, or DreamHack. But DreamHack's, I think, definitely more specified. Hey, you're into esports, and a lot of it. I mean, there's more than just esports for sure, but it's a lot more concentrated in the kind of stuff that's there.
Well, both PAX and DreamHack, the benefit there is that they're everywhere. So if you're not in the Pacific Northwest, I
say you make the trip over to the West, because it is. It's just more grand. It's just so grand, and you walk into the hall, and you're like, every single time I've ever gone with somebody new, their first time walking to the floor, you just see their mouth drop because they are just not expecting what is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I personally say don't go on vacation to a gaming convention, but that's just me.
Oh, I agree with that too. I mean, okay, no, maybe I disagree on that, but I try.
That's what it would have to be to travel.
Yeah, right. I guess it's a specific kind. I know for you and me at this point, a lot of it is businessy and worky at times. I learned my lesson, I think, after 1 year, that I do try to keep it as casual as I can now. I do try and work some business stuff, whatever that may be, hosting an event or something. I do try and do a bit of that, but I try and keep myself open enough so that I can just enjoy my time there. I learned my lesson after a few years of that, so. Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about Splitgate. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it eventually.
So Joker first played Splitgate at TwitchCon, which is one of these big gaming conventions that we're talking about. So roll back the clock. What was it like that? Well, what year was it? Was it 2018?
2019.
2019.
No, 2019. Yeah, 2019.
Got it. All right. So we don't have to roll back the clock too far.
But yeah, I don't remember. Like, I'll be...
You spent the whole convention there, but you don't remember.
Well, so I remember playing it. I remember how it feeling and stuff like that. But I was thinking about it earlier. If I playing the game now and how I played it back then, I could not tell you the differences. I mean, there's the main ones, like, obviously they didn't have battle passes and the menus and stuff were all changed around a little bit. And like, there's some big obvious changes of just a game that's being showcased versus a game that's fully released. But actually playing the game, like the gameplay of shooting portals and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I don't remember many of the differences. I couldn't pick out like, oh, it looked differently, or oh, you had better jetpack abilities and stuff.
But you remember the game.
Right.
It's not like just playing the game a couple weeks ago. You were like, oh, brand new game. Like, you remember the experience. You just don't remember a lot of differences. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I
that's good.
I will say coming from Halo, it's definitely fun. I mean, if you talk to the devs, they are hardcore Halo fans. Like, they are diehard Halo fans. And that's why they wanted these, like, they wanted to make their own version of Halo. Because they personally, and I don't want to speak for them, obviously, but talking to them, I know they're not as big of fans of the current Halo games as they were of the original, right? They're in that boat where they were like, Halo 3 is the best Halo game, and it will be forever. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You don't have to like the new Halo games made by 343 and stuff like that. It's your own opinion for whatever you want, right? So, but that's a large part of the Halo community, and they are in that boat, and they just haven't been as happy with the current Halo games, so they wanted to make their own. They wanted to make one that they would be happy with, but then they also just wanted to throw portals into it to make it more fun, because who doesn't like portals?
I don't blame them. Okay, so I do want to ask, because I always find devs interesting. I always think developers are super cool. What do you remember about them? Like, give us the personality bio. Like, if you've ever watched The Mentalist or Lie to Me, you know, give me the breakdown.
They're smart nerds. I don't remember what they look like at all, to be honest. If I ran into them, I would not be able to recognize them.
Okay.
What I could tell you is, like, they were really passionate about this. We talk about it in the facts section, but they roomed together in college. So that's how they actually met. But it started out as just a love for gaming, and it was a family project to an extreme. I mean, literally there was 4 people that initially worked on this game. It was the 2 people who roomed, or 4, I guess, maybe 6.
I think it was 4. I think you're right that it was 4 originally.
Well, it was basically their parents were the other people. I think they did have one person who was an artist, or 2 people that were artists, or something like that. But one of them was the game designer, one of them was the programmer. Their mom was basically their producer. Was yeah, and then I think their dad helped out with some of the business and marketing and stuff like that. Company side of things. So
that's cool.
And that was how it started. I think it's obviously expanded a lot. I don't know how big the team is now. I think they might have shed, and I don't know if I wrote it down. Let me look up 1047 games really quick.
I'm sure they've hired so many roles. So they did a Kickstarter, I believe, to kind of help with the re-release, and it blew up. Right. And I think someone donated like an obscene amount. Angel investors or another company or something donated a ton of money to buy them more servers so that more people could play.
Yes. I mean, I have it in our facts section. We do have a small facts section. If you want to just jump into those, you might as well.
Okay, jump into the facts. So we don't have as much for this section as like a movie where there's 8 billion different actors and fun things.
Stuff, yeah.
But that's okay. So the game originally released in early access August 25th, 2021, and on console July 27th, 2021.
Hold on, that's obviously that's not how that works.
So the game fully released.
My apologies.
Yeah, okay.
August 25th, 2019. I wrote 2021.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So the game originally released early access in August of 2019, came around to console July 2021, and then they fully released the game August 25th, 2021. So if you're wondering why you've seen Splitgate blowing up recently, it's because they basically had this second release push, and they had a Kickstarter, and they had all this media around them, and all of these people suddenly wanted to play. And as much as Joker hates waiting in line, exclusivity drives interest. We know that is true.
Yes, I agree.
So the
Starfield.
the waiting in line, the not quite accessible, everyone else is playing and I want to play and I can't yet, so I'm gonna have to sit here and wait in line. I'm gonna talk about waiting in line. I'm gonna make my friends come and wait in line with me. Very effective. Probably not an intentional marketing strategy from Splitgate, but very effective. And that's why the game kind of blew up. And you're going to see a lot of it on TikTok. You're going to see a lot of people playing. Not necessarily super popular on Twitch yet, but we'll see.
No, we'll talk about that because I have my thoughts on that. I want to slap down the Splitgate community just for a minute, in a positive way, of course.
Okay, yeah. In a positively reviewed, positive way.
Right.
You want to finish the facts first, and then we'll. Or is it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Co-founded is by Ian Prolix and Nicholas Bagamian. I don't know how to say those. I tried.
That's fine.
Well, it's Stanford, so I mentioned that, and I did the little deep dive into it. So, but you continue.
So Splitgate has had over 600,000 downloads in the first month of release, which is pretty impressive. And it has raised over 10 million from investors as of May 2021.
So that was part of the Kickstarters and stuff like that.
Yes.
They raised over $10 million. So people believe in this. Like it's a game. This is considered an indie game for sure. It's a very small amount of people who made it just for free. They basically spent no money on it. It was just their time. And then they made $10 million. So this is how I know they now, I think, have a full development team and stuff like that. So I don't know how big the studio is. I looked up. I didn't see if they had updated any of the, I don't think they've mentioned how many people are actually working at the studio right now. So I might be able to check on their actual website, but
they're probably in the midst of hiring wildness.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot going on with it that we'll see. They got a lot of plans for this in the future, which is good. I mean, it's not even fully. It's not even. Or I guess technically it's fully released. Yes, it is. They're on season 0, is what they call it. So they're not even on season 1. I know they're adding crossplay and stuff like that into the game. So right now you can't play if you're on Xbox. You can't play with PC players. But when the game is officially released, which I think is just when season 1 starts, because it technically already is.
Because it's season 0 right now.
Right, it's season 0. They will be doing crossplay in the game. So, and that'll be nice. So, well, I guess before we get in, I guess we normally have our news section, and now I have what I've coined what we watch in the shadows, which is a good play. Do you get it? Do you get the joke?
I mean, I know what we do in the shadows is a thing, but I haven't seen it.
Neither have I. I haven't watched it either, but it's
got it.
I've heard it's pretty funny. I mean, I think it's written, isn't it partially written by James Gunn? Or
I don't know.
Maybe it's Takai Waititi. It's one of the two. What the heck was that? I don't know. I don't think they came through. I heard a noise. It's fine. So I thought it was a good joke. It's not, but it was a good joke. So, but you got any news or anything that you've been watching this last week?
Anything I've been watching. I restarted Vampire Diaries, which I think we talked about last week. So I'm still in the middle of that. And I am about to finish season 4 of The Resident. And season 5 starts at the end of September. So I'm very close to finishing season 4. And it's been a very good season. So it's been really fun to watch.
Good to know. I gotta hop on that Resident train and stuff like that. I know
it's really good.
I started my last person a significant other was she got me into it a bit, so I definitely need.
So you have seen some of it.
Very little, but yes.
Got it. Was she a Gossip Girl? Not a Gossip Girl. A Gilmore Girls fan. It's a shared. It was a shared actor.
Oh,
the main and the resident was in that.
Emily Van Camp is who I'm thinking of.
Yeah. I said there's your Marvel connection. I know. That's why I figured. I was like, oh, you'll like it. You'll get to see the Power
I also
Broker.
like Revenge. I haven't finished it,
Revenge
but I
is
started
good.
Revenge with her too, and that's why she got into the Resonance, because she loved Revenge, and then made me start watching Revenge, and Revenge is good. So
Revenge is very good.
right. Okay, so nothing new. You're kind of just going through some series for yourself.
I could have sworn I had watched something else, but I can't think of what it would be.
You watched a lot of Dota 2 as you played it instead of Splitgate.
That's true. That did happen. There was also a Dota tournament on.
Oh, nice. I've been watching. There's been a lot of like Smash tournaments and stuff going on, and I'm loving it. I watch a lot of Smash, and there's a lot of tournaments just going on. Brawlhalla just had a big tournament, which my brother is very into that game, so I like to keep up to date with it every once in a while.
Didn't even know you had a brother. Today I learned.
Have I? Did I ever? I thought we. You. That's fine. You know what? That just took me. It took me for a second to process that. Okay, good to know you didn't know. I also have a mother and a father.
I did figure that one out.
I've been watching The Warrior. I talked about it last week. I'm still watching. Yep. I'm on the final. The last episode I just watched. I've been like slowly eking that series out because I don't want it to end. It's definitely a series I'm like, I don't want to rip through this and then end it and then have nothing to do with my life. So I'm on the final episode of the first season, and it's so good. I'm really excited for this last episode, but I still gotta watch the second season, and we do know they're getting a third one, so yay for that. And then that was pretty much, I think, really, other than that, I've been keeping up with a lot of, honestly, YouTube. Yeah, I could talk about that, I guess. I've been getting into Corridor Digital a bit, which is a YouTube channel.
I actually heard of that one.
Yeah, so they were... It's weird how these channels break off. So if you don't know the YouTube atmosphere a lot, for those who aren't as privy to it, there's not a lot of creators that were around 10 years ago that are still around now. Well, still around now doing the same content that they used to do, I should say.
Still relevant.
And still relevant, yeah. I mean, there's still plenty of them that are around and they're making stuff and they're just kind of going through it now. They're just going through the motions and they're gonna get support from people. But this was a studio that was kind of originally built around people like Freddie Wong, who Freddie Wong did a bunch of action videos. He basically did a bunch of action YouTube. He eventually made the video game High School, which I love that series. But I know it was not the best acting, and it was not. There was definitely some fundamental problems with it, but I loved it. I loved the heck out of it. But yeah, so he made the studio Rocket Jump, and these people who initially started Corridor Digital, I believe, worked with Freddie a whole lot on a lot of his projects and kind of did their own things, but they're visual effects artists and a bunch of other. And now their studio, Corridor Digital, has broken off into like 3 or 4 other channels called like Node and a bunch of other stuff as well. So they have even their own stuff that they've broken off into, but so they've moved into this and they just specialize in visual effects stuff. They basically run a bunch of stuff. Like they do a lot of cool videos, like racing in AI to see if they can edit stuff. They had one where it was editing someone out of a video, basically a non green screen video, taking him out so that they could use it. And they had an AI to see if they could do it faster. And basically the AI beat them all because it was a brand new AI that's able to do it really quick. And it looked really good. They did use a different tool. I don't remember what it was called that actually did it almost as fast though. Like they kind of tied each other. So, and you know, before you'd have to do it by hand where you have to mask out. Literally you would go in and have to do the little dots around the person and mask out literally every single frame. And that's how they used to do in movies and stuff like that. But they do that, is they recreate old VFX shots. And my favorite series by them right now is Stuntman and visual effects artist React. So it's a React series. But it's basically a deep dive into older movies, and they just show like old stunts, or they show new stunts like the John Wick stunts or something, and they talk about kind of the process that it takes to make some of those. And I don't know, I'm into those things. I like the whole how things are made, and I like visual effects and stuff like that. So that's what I've been getting really into. So I watch a lot of that.
Yeah, I did find a podcast today earlier that was interesting.
Ooh, what podcast?
Unlady something is interesting. It's a mixture of, they have these really good guests come on and talk about different things. So the first episode I listened to was really good about millennial burnout. And then they have other episodes where listeners write in and ask for advice. And the one that cracked me up was a woman wrote in and said, how do I politely tell people to mind their own business? Ever since I got married, they keep asking me when I'm going to have kids. And both the women were like, well, you know what you could tell them? And it was very entertaining and they were very funny. But then they had good advice, too. They were like, if you want a nice way to do it, you could do it this way. Keep in mind, that's a super personal question, so you don't have to be polite. And it was really funny. Yeah, basically, they were like, they told some really funny stories about that, and it was just fun to listen to, because it's obviously got a feminist angle to it. It's called Unladylike, but it didn't feel heavy-handed. Like, it felt just like you were listening to this it just felt like you were listening to two friends talk about stuff that was going on and bringing on people who knew what they were talking about to kind of answer different common questions. And it was cool. I had fun listening to it.
I'll probably check it out. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm at work. That's basically all I do because I can just listen to stuff the whole time. So I just rip through podcasts, and I'm kind of bored of my stock podcast. So I need new ones. And so I'll go check that out, because I also think I've been listening to one called No Dumb Answers with Mark and Brad, which is from Rooster Teeth.
Okay.
But the concept of the podcast is basically it's three lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
But they work for two just like stereotypical jock chat, two stereotypical Chad people called Mark and Brad. They're not real people. They actually do have two people at Rooster Teeth who play the characters of Mark and Brad. But, so the three ladies work at the studio for them, who they have this podcast, but they end up always forgetting to show up, or they don't show up to the podcast. So the ladies have to take over and do it. And it's actually really good. It's really funny. I'm totally down for all that stuff. So surprisingly, you would think. I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they're like, "Oh, a podcast of three lesbians. I know what this is about." But it's almost never like that. I think almost every podcast I've ever heard by a full cast of women or people in the LGBT always has typically really good stuff and interesting stuff, and they're never heavy-handed with anything they ever talk about. Right? They're a lot more chill than people give them credit for.
Well, because usually what happens is it's like, yeah, you hear me talking about being a woman in video games or whatever all the time because it's a problem that I am consistently smacked in the face with. But the reality of what I want to talk about is I want to talk about video games, or I want to talk about a bad boss, or I want to talk about millennial burnout from that other thing. So usually what ends up happening is there's that identity, and people assume that that identity is what's going to be the central thing. Right. But really, people really don't go, hey, I'm a lesbian, like this is what the podcast has to be about. They go, hey, I'm a person, here's what I'm interested in that happens to also, kind of thing. And so it's nice to see products where people do get to be themselves and not have that as their defining fact, not feel like they have to have that forced as their defining factor. Like, it's fine if you want that to be the focal point, but you shouldn't have to have it be one. So that's cool. Now I want to listen to that.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I'm worried because they might have ended the series after they've only had one season. I don't know how well it was doing. It was fun, but they just had a series finale where they actually brought Mark and Brad back for the first time, and it was. I will say that it was funny for the first bit, but they kept with it the whole time. After the first 40 minutes, I was like, all right. It's funny, but they just it totally different format. But I was okay with it for the joke, I guess. And I like the people. I get it's one of those. I listen to all the Rooster Teeth podcasts, and you definitely get that. you get that where you follow actors and stuff like that, right? Like,
yes.
Free Guy you like automatically just because Ryan Reynolds is in it. And it's the same idea with podcasts. Is I grew up watching Rooster Teeth, and I still do. So whenever I hear the people who I used to watch or I know work for this company that I love, I instantly have a little bit more enjoyment towards it that I think other people do. So I think that's part of it. But when they brought Mark and Brad back, they stuck with it where they really just kind of push. Kayla is the normal host, but they just kind of pushed her out of the podcast and they just kind of ignored her. And she's really into crypto and stuff like that. And so they brought up, they're like, hey, we just discovered crypto. You probably don't understand anything about it.
Oh my gosh.
So let me explain crypto. And of course they just did a terrible job. Yeah, they did very, very stereotypical. And for the joke of it, was hilarious. Yeah. I loved it. So, but
oh my gosh. No, it sounds good.
Yeah.
So, if you played a bunch of Splitgate and you need something else, take your brain off Splitgate because you've heard how awesome it is from us. You just got so many different media recommendations.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I've been rambling on today, haven't I?
That's okay.
I didn't even talk about Xbox. Long story short, I tried to get the Halo Infinite Xbox today. I stayed up. I worked a double, so I didn't get home. I worked nights, so I didn't get home until 8 in the morning. And I basically was staring at my phone from 6 a.m. until 9:30, trying to wait for this thing to go on sale at GameStop. I went to take a 2-minute shower because I was like, you never know when this is going to happen and when it's going to drop. So I'm going to take a quick shower, literally 2 minutes, and I'll pop back out and I'll be ready to go. It went on sale the exact minute I walked into the shower, the exact second, and I ended up missing it. And I'm real. I was about this close to throwing my fist through a wall, and I'm not the kind of person that does that. But I was very livid. I tried to fall asleep after that, and I was just angry awake. I was awake out of pure rage. So that was how my day started. I'm real mad I'm real mad. My fist is going through a wall again soon here. Not again, but it will. It's going to happen. Maybe through my monitor. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
I don't know if I'd recommend that. But, a great way to take out some aggression is to pew-pew, do the shooty-shooty in the shooty-shooty game. So I'm going to
talk about gaming. Yeah, let's just get into gaming. I'm
going to steer the train back on the tracks. It's fine. We had a fun podcast, detour. But time to talk about Splitgate. It's time to get into what is Splitgate, why you should be playing it, why it's the greatest video game ever created. So Splitgate, known during development under the working title Splitgate Arena Warfare, is a free-to-play multiplayer first-person shooter video game developed and published by 1047 Games. It was released in early access on May 24th, 2019 for Linux and Microsoft Windows on Steam, and on Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 on July 27th, 2021. The full version of the game released on August 25th, 2021 was Season 0. It was very recent. The game revolves around Halo-inspired sci-fi combat in battle arenas where players can create wormhole portals between 2 points on the map that have been compared to those of the Portal series. They fire weapons or travel through these portals, which is the coolest mechanic ever.
Super sick. They have a lot of cool safety. We'll get into some of the esports end of things, but
yeah, it's just like the pure skill ceiling, the things that you can do with the portals was just mind-blowing once I started seeing videos of people portal hopping and the speedrun races. And it's awesome because the portal mechanic takes this from a normal shooter that is a dime a dozen, an arena shooter. Granted, I still think it's an awesome arena shooter because it gives me some super strong, like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark vibes. It's the first time I've felt like that in a really long time. Yeah.
I was more sitting on like the Doom, honestly. The Doom
I didn't play the early ones.
Okay.
But I felt like I was playing GoldenEye. And I loved it. I have so much nostalgia around that game and N64 arena shooters. And then you add in the portals and it really keeps it from being stale because the amount of things that you can do that is really only limited by your own creativity makes it a really awesome game because you also don't have to use them that much.
Nope. Which I was going to say, like, I know a lot of, I can't wait. This game has a crazy skill ceiling only because one of the biggest things is map knowledge. Like,
yeah,
you might know the maps, but you might know the layouts of the maps and you might know where the weapons are and how where spawns are. And you could know all that, which is typical like Halo knowledge. But the other, the much deeper aspect that's going to take forever to people to learn is knowing where all of the portable
yes. In the game, you cannot turn everything into a portal. There is this grid-like matrix. In order to create a portal, you must do it within that grid matrix. So what Joker's attempting to say is you have to learn where the portal matrices are, which portable there's a lot of maps.
Is not correct, by the way. You can't say portable walls. They're not movable walls. The portal-able wall.
Portal-able. Portal-able.
Yeah, exactly. So, and knowing exactly where they are in relation to where you shot the last portal is going to take a while. And I've started doing that. I'm now at the point where I'm having a hard time remembering which portal I shot when is where I'm struggling sometimes. So I have to take an extra second to like reshoot. But I don't know if people have seen the video of the dev. They're like, hey, the devs are good at this game, where the guy literally was just like shooting a portal every half a second, and he was just traveling across the map, just rapid firing until he ran into an enemy and then just shot him down. That's what I've started to try and do, is just like look for wherever the walls are connected, because that's for me. Some of it is like, I feel there either should be more walls or more strategic places, because there's certain times where I throw my portal somewhere and I go through it, and then I'm like trying to throw another portal and there's nothing around me to really travel anywhere, and I'm just like, but I'm sure there is, and I just don't know the maps well enough. So. Well,
and once you learn, maybe you wouldn't have thrown that portal in there in the first place because you know that it'll get you in a stuck spot. Yeah, no, but that's what's cool is when I jumped in and played, I'm not an FPS player. I just have very little experience, which means by nature, I just don't aim well. And the first thing
that this game... I have been playing FPSs my entire life. It's been 22 years and I'm still not good at that, so you're fine.
The great thing that the devs did is, so I'm a MOBA player. We play on super high sensitivity, DPI, like everything. Like I am just zooming across the map. And, just like my mouse is all over the place. And... that's one of the reasons it's hard for me to play FPSs, because I can't, I refuse to turn my mouse settings down. I don't want to mess with them. Dota's my main game. And I don't like changing things. But in Splitgate, when you jump in, the auto settings, the sensitivity is way lower. So even if you come in with like a high DPI, the sensitivity is set super low so that you can actually still shoot.
That might be for you. I still lower my sensitivity even more than what it gives me. I'm just throwing it out there. So
I'm sure that FPS players in general do. Like I can't. I still need some level of zooming, but I find the aiming. I get so many headshots in that game. Like I love playing the headshot mode because I'm just like pew 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 pew. SWAT. This is awesome. Yeah. And I never have that experience.
What is your mouse DPI?
I think it lives on 1800.
Oh my god. I run like 200 or 400, basically. Although I apparently need, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum where people are surprised how low my DPI is.
Which again, most people run
like 400 and 600 is relatively standard.
Yeah, 200 is low.
People come to us. A lot of people who play FPSs look at my stream when I play, and they're like, "Hey, you need to lower your sensitivity a bit more." And I'm like, I can't go any lower. I'm playing on 0.1 sensitivity at like a 200 DPI. I don't know what else you want from me. So they're like, oh, that's very low.
They're like, oh, I mean, I guess.
I just
got it.
Conclusion that I'm just Garbo. So Garbo, it's fine. I make up for that in being able to actually use portals. So I can't wait. I can't wait till see how this game plays when people actually learn how to use portals. Because most of the time when you play, there's currently 2 types of players in the game. And one of them is the correct way in the current state of the game. And I say correct way with quotations because it's still a sucky way. Is there's the people who just barely use portals. They will sometimes they're like, oh, hey, I need to get up to this higher floor. So I take a minute and I have to like sit there and process, okay, how do I shoot portals again? Because I don't use portals at all and I don't know how to use them. Or there's the other type where it's like, I put a portal in the middle of the map and then I go hide in a corner with another portal and then I just look through it and wait for people to come through the area so I shoot them through the portal. Because the game has a mechanic where you can shoot through portals, which allows you to basically, you could shoot through behind people and then shoot in front, shoot in a corner, and then you can just sit there and look through it. So there's a lot of camping going on, which I think is a big problem with it. Because the alternative is if the portals are not yours, you can't see through them. You just see kind of this blank portal effect, but you can shoot back, and they do have it where if you see an enemy, so if you aim through the portal and you do come across an enemy who's on the other side, your reticle does turn red, so you can see through them blindly. You blindly see through them, if that makes any sense. It's a little confusing, but
it's kind of like
it's good
when
enough that when you play snipers or anything like that, or I mean, I've killed people through their own portals where people just stand there and they just try and look through, and they don't expect people to shoot back. So when you shoot back, they just continue to stand there and then they die. So
it's kind of like when you have aim assist and smokes, where someone smokes and then they walk through the smoke and you're not supposed to be able to see them, but you have aim assist, and so you just slow drag the cursor and wait for it to stick.
Right? Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
So it's kind of like that, but waiting for the cursor to change color.
Exactly.
I am curious now, thinking about that, what kind of accessibility mode Splitgate has, though, because red, green, color blank.
They have a huge not huge, but they do have colorblind modes for their thing. So
I assumed they would have had to because they have such primary colors that are common colorblind colors, but I hadn't actually looked yet.
Yeah, it's one of the big things they have, and they even show you how they look. They have I think they have a physical colorblind test in the game while you do it. Right? Is that when you change it, it pops up the numbers with the little dots or whatever at different colors lying on top of each other, so you might not be able to see some. So, I will tell you, there's definitely a skill difference between PC and console, and I know that's true in general, but it's bad. It's real bad. I played Xbox for the first time a few days ago. I did the camp strat where I just shot a portal in the middle of the map. I think that was it was upsetting to me. I was like, this isn't even fun. They just keep running through the same doorway.
So you played on console, same account or a different account?
Different account. They don't have cross progression.
Okay, that's what I figured. The first many games that you play are against bots.
Oh, that would be it.
They don't tell you that you're against. Yeah, they don't tell you that you're against bots. But I was decimating lobbies. The first couple of hours I played, I was killing everybody. If I queued with a real person who had been playing, not for much longer than me, right? So not like it was a high elo or anything. Suddenly I was getting destroyed. And I was like, okay, something's up here. And then and I started paying attention to the usernames in my game. And I'm like, these are not real because the capitalization, like every time there was a new word in the name, it was capitalized. And I was like, that people don't do that.
That's what I do.
Very few people do that. And there weren't like random O's instead of zeros or zeros instead of O's. And there weren't random numbers and stuff. And I was like, these are not real people. And then after I played a bit more
on Steam, though, right? You don't see a lot of O's and X's on Steam because people can just have whatever name that they want. Because you can have the same username as other people.
People still do it, though, because a lot of people come over from console world and they keep their name the same.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's... Anyway, so you play against bots at first to make you feel good, which is a great... PUBG Mobile did that. Everybody played PUBG Mobile, was like, I'm so good, I'm destroying everybody. And then everyone eventually realized that your first couple of games are against bots. So you get hooked to the game and you have fun playing it. And it gives you a safe way to learn all of the mechanics. And I have not seen this officially posted anywhere. It's not an official confirmation, but they were 100% bots because there was a very clear flip in who I was playing against all of a sudden when I was queuing.
I don't think I noticed as much on PC for sure, but I'll be honest, I haven't been struggling that much on PC in general. I'm still technically a low level, so maybe the skill-based matchmaking in it hasn't fully kicked in yet, but regardless, I don't know. I want to get into this a little bit. I think this is one of the reasons why people are enjoying it so much, is a lot of people are coming into this game who are Halo people, and they're decimating and they're just obsessed with this game. I have heard on numerous occasions from numerous people, they're like, yo, this is the next big esports. And I'm like, okay, let's settle down a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I praise the game developers. These guys did an amazing job with this game. It's very fun. They've made a good game, but the part of the popularity of this game is out of boredom. People are bored. There's not a lot that's come out as of late that I think people are like really into. And people are they're waiting for Halo. This is that taste of Halo without it being Halo that they're looking for, right? People are bored of MCC. They're not playing Halo 5. Everyone is waiting for Halo Infinite. And to get their Halo fix in, they're playing Splitgate. And they're doing very well. I have a friend who he's gotten a lot better. We've been training him in the art of competitive gaming, especially in esports. He started out as a very not good player, and he's become a very good player. Actually, I watched some of the. He started out with one of those that whenever we played Apex Legends, right? So we trained him on Apex Legends basically, and initially you start out, and every time he gets into a fight, you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna assume he's gonna die, and we're just gonna focus on what we're doing, and we'll help him out later because he's gonna go down no matter what. Or it's like if me and the the other teammate die and he's the one left alive, we're like, and that's gonna be the game. We lose, right? But now he can clutch out every once in a while. He actually wins the fights, and I can trust him that if he gets into a fight, I'm able to trust that he can survive at least and win that every once in a while. So he's gotten a lot better. The difference is extreme, and he's obsessed with this game. Because I think he's also just destroying people in this game currently.
It's so fun. It's, again, as someone who's not an FPS player who really struggles, it's... Once you get into people who are really good at portals, it can be a little demoralizing to just get wrecked by someone shooting you and you have no idea where it's from.
That's where that's the direction. Yeah. I'm trying to jump into that early because, most people, again, I'm a little bored of the game. And not out of I'm not enjoying it. But that is the secret, right? That's the other type of player or maybe not you, but
not me yet. I'm working on it though.
You put a portal in the middle of the map and you just sit there and you stare through it. And then you just camp the entire game in the corner and you just wait for people to come by and shoot. That's it, right? And I learned once you do that, I get so many more kills doing that. And I'm just like, I don't like this. I'm bored of this.
You will get wrecked with that when you get the people who are really good with portals and doing because there's that little ledge. So after you create a portal and you go through it, there's a little ledge you can stand on, and it like keeps the portal open, and you can kind of have 3 portals up at once. Like you can sort of mess with it, and there's portal hopping. And I have played against people who are significantly better than I am. I won't say they're really good, but I have queued with other people with a lot more hours in the game and gotten people who just wreck you. And they're not sitting in one place camping a portal. They are moving. They are all over the place, just wrecking face.
Those are the people who are going to be decimating, and that's exactly what I'm working on. Is I got to learn the maps more than anything to get there. But,
I got a corner portal kill the last time I played. I didn't realize it was a thing. Like if someone was chasing you, you leave a portal behind and then throw one out ahead of you and then shoot them as they turn the corner. And that happened to me. And I was like, what? This is the worst. And I was super mad. And then I was in the same map. And so I heard someone chasing me and I did it. And I just shot right through. And I was like, I got a corner portal kill. I did it. I saw it. I copied it. I did it. Look at me. I'm so proud. And I was so proud.
Have you gotten just a portal kill yet?
Well, that was a portal kill.
Well, no, you kill someone with the portal.
You can do that?
Yes. So you can, you can manually close portals. So you can manually close portals. You can also do it just by, I think I got it just by shooting a portal somewhere, that if someone is going through the portal, the second that you close that portal, it will instantly kill them.
Oh, no, I have not done that.
Yeah, there's a achievement for it too. It's one of the challenge. I think it's one of the challenges for the season pass. It's got to be really hard because again, not many people run through other. It's a gamble running through other people's portals because you can't see what the other end looks like. So there's times I've run through and then I'm like, there's 4 people here. Oh no!
It's like panic. I did not. Yeah, I regret my decision.
This game, I think it's great. I like I said, I think that I don't blame the devs. I think people are praising it a little more. I think people are more obsessed with this game than they should be. I think it's a very good game that people should be playing. I hope to see it grow. But like I said, when people are being it like this is going to be the next big esports, I'm like, okay, let's settle down a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I think there's plenty of esports potential in this game. But saying it's going to be the next hotness on the level, whatever, Call of Duty or Apex or something, that it's not there yet. Okay.
Well, the problem with that is what people also don't realize is that very few esports are properly grassroots, especially big ones, right? So Dota is going to be seen as, oh yeah, it's grassroots. There's all these third-party tournaments that kept it alive for forever. No, Dota 2 launched with a $1.6 million tournament back in 2011 when that kind of money did not exist in esports at all. We are talking like $2,000 tournaments or like tournaments where hardware was the price. Okay, $1.6 million. Apex, the entire Pro Series, I'm sure that is all Respawn. We know that League of Legends is all Riot funding everything because that's how they work. Like RLCS is run by Psyonix. Esports, like PUBG, that's run by PUBG's not Bluehole anymore, is it? I don't know. Whoever's PUBG now. So
Tencent. They own all of it, so it doesn't matter.
So Splitgate may have gotten $10 million in funding, but that $10 million is for servers and hiring new people and expanding out the game. They're not going to say, okay, we got 10 million from investors. Let's take 5 million of that and create like a mini esports circuit. Because you're going to be able to run like 2 or 3 tournaments with that.
That's it. Yeah,
like it's not as much money as you think it is because esports is expensive. And it doesn't make you money.
Nope. No, it does not.
Like there are non-esport games. I
would go with the marketing ploy of like, do one big one for like $500,000 and just call it good. You know you're gonna lose money, but if you're the size of this game, you can use the publicity more than anything. I think there's better ways to get publicity than esports tournament, though. To be honest.
Yeah, well, I think pro-ams, streamers and pro-ams, which is what they're doing. So they're running tournaments with Xbox. And they're doing these $10,000 tournaments every week or every couple of weeks. And all they really need to do is, while the cheating is really, really bad in Warzone and Halo's not out yet, is you've got big streamers who are bored and FPS titles drive the majority of viewership on streaming platforms. And so you just need to hope that something happens in Apex, that it just falls apart. And then those streamers turn to Splitgate. That's what's going to happen because they have to have something for the community to watch. So
exactly, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say is that they need the publicity, and so having what you said, like streamer tournaments and stuff like that, will help the reception of it in general. And talking about the reception, I did actually put on scores for the game. It had a 68 by Metacritic and a 7 out of 10 for IGN. So not even that high of scores. But my point is the community reception is a lot higher. People are obsessed with this game. So.
Yeah, I mean, what did Among Us? What did Among Us score back in 2018 when it came out?
I don't know.
You know, community decides a lot of things. I think you're right that Splitgate's biggest downfall is, I would say, almost the lack of stuff to do. I have a ton of fun playing it, but I have about an hour and a half or 2 hours in me. There's a lot of different modes. I think they did an amazing job having different modes.
Halo. Yeah, it's all Halo modes, most of them. There might be one or two that's not.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really fun.
Halo at least, but yeah.
Yeah, they're good. They're fun. Halo has a campaign. Splitgate does not. I don't blame them for that. But it's fun to play arena shooters, and it's fun to play with your friends. But if your friends aren't around, it can be fun to go and play the campaign. And I think they could benefit, even if they made it. This is what I'd love to see, because I don't think enough not that I play a lot of shooters, so I don't know if this happens or not. But in fighting games, the campaign is basically fight this character. Fight this, like when you play the Soul Calibur campaign, you're just fighting different characters. I think it would be really interesting, rather than creating a whole story, to create a campaign that is a bunch of challenges, kind of like a Beat Saber story mode, where you're beating different songs and you're learning different mechanics while you do it. So it becomes an extended tutorial, but gets really hard. There's leaderboards with the times it takes to do things. So the speedrunners, are looking to get up inside that global leaderboard with racing through things. And I think that would be fun and engaging.
A good example you can go is Overwatch. Overwatch 2, I think, is going to have a fully fledged campaign, apparently. But Overwatch has had a lot of campaign-esque things that they've done throughout their lifespan. So, where they had story connected to it, and they've had these horde modes and stuff like that they've kind of had instead. So,
but I think instead of connecting a story to it, because story runs out,
right?
I think it would be really interesting to connect challenges to it rather than straight up story.
That's part of it. I mean, like I was saying, is Overwatch they had story elements, but that was fell to the wayside more than anything. It was they had, like I said, they had a horde mode. It was just you had to try and survive 5 waves with whatever characters you and your small team decide to play with. And you had different difficulties and a lot of stuff like that. So it was kind of a challenge mode more than anything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the seasonal Overwatch events were fun. I did a bunch of those with the surviving the different waves. I'm just imagining Splitgate where you're chasing an enemy through the map and you have to travel around on portals. And, levels, stages, whatever, that aren't shooting based at all. And, they're puzzle based, and you have to use portals to basically rebuilding portal. But you can have races, which I think they put something with racing into the game. And and the cool thing about that is if you don't actually have a story to it and you just have a series of challenges, every time you have a battle pass, every time you update content to the game, you basically just add 4 more levels. And you say these are the next things to beat. And you have those leaderboards of scores, and you have battle pass rewards that come with it. And you have, the bronze, silver, gold, platinum, etc. thing that you always used to do. And I think that would add something a little more engaging and for people to sort of grind on. And you just have different difficulty levels. So people who like easy mode can do that. You add unlockable things. I think that's what it's missing. And I think expecting this dev team to build a whole story like Halo did isn't what they want.
No, it's not what they want. Yeah. It's not what they don't have the capabilities to do that. They don't have the manpower for it, simply. So
yeah. I mean, hey, 10 million.
It's not enough. I mean, no, I mean there are plenty of games that come out for a lot less from indie developers, but with them focusing on multiplayer, I mean, again, they have all these battle passes and stuff, and so that's really, I think they're working on competitive maps, and that takes a long time to create. Well,
yeah, that's true. The balancing and everything. Okay, so before we get to our overall reception, you wanted to talk about the Splitgate content creators.
No, that was it. I mean, I basically did was me talking about the amount, the amount of praise the game is getting. Because I personally, again, I'm being as positive as I can, is I think people are praising it more than they should be. They should be praising the game, but people are more obsessed with this game than they should be, and it's going to cause burnout. And that's what I'm worried about for it. Is like, not even burnout. It's just just the realization of I think everyone is bored, so they're obsessed with this game because they're bored. But people talking about like this game is going to be huge and all that. Forget that as soon as Halo comes out, the 3/4 of the audience is just gone.
Maybe they may bounce between. I mean, you might be a little biased when it comes to Halo. Halo's intimidating.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but like I said, with this game feeling as much like Halo as it does have a very big Halo audience. So a large part of their audience is just gonna vanish for at least a little while. But that's exactly what I mean. Is I don't want people to burn out, and there currently isn't enough maps, and they have quite a few maps. Don't get me wrong. They've actually made some really awesome maps. Some maps I'm a little like, I don't know how I feel about this one. I feel there either should be more portals or less portable walls. But I think there's some people I've already seen. I just looked at like my Steam's friends list. There's a dude who in the last week, right? It tells you like how many people I've played in the last, how many hours were put into the last week. Someone already like has 80 hours in the last week. And I'm like, that's insane.
That's a lot.
You're gonna burn yourself out in like 2 weeks with just as little as there is to do. And when Halo Infinite comes out, you'll never come back to this game. So, but this is a game I hope does prosper even after Halo Infinite, because I think it's like people are praising it more than they should, but they should be praising the game developers. It's just I don't want people to burn out on it. So,
well, as of August 19th, Splitgate had over 10 million downloads.
Oh yeah, that was part of the fact that I think we just missed, didn't we?
You wrote 600,000, and I was really confused.
Oh, that was 600,000 downloads in the first month of release. That's right.
Was it so back in 2019. So back in 2019,
I think maybe I just saw the 10 million and I assumed it was talking about the money that it made as well, investment. So I think I just ignored it. So
it has over 10 million downloads, because I was thinking, how does it compare to Valheim? Because I remember Valheim having something like 4 million, but maybe it was more than that.
I'm happy I didn't get into that game.
Valheim has been downloaded 5 million times. Now, granted, Valheim was not free. Splitgate is free.
Right.
Shooters are also very popular. They're a little easier, but free game makes a big difference. Valheim was really, really popular. A ton of people were playing it, tons of content. I got super into it. I loved it. I was playing it all the time. I was not blinking enough. And you did run out of things to do. And the devs were not prepared for how popular the game was, and they didn't have the next content ship ready.
Yeah.
Now, the next content ship is actually coming out in a couple of weeks, and so I expect Valheim to get really popular again because people really liked it. So I think what we're going to see with Splitgate is they've got 10 million people with it in their library, and that's a pretty big deal. And Halo is not shipping like previous Halo games.
No.
It's, big air quotes here, missing certain features because it's going to be a live service game.
And so those things, though. That's also on top of that. So
part of it is free to play.
The multiplayer.
Multiplayer is free to play. So. The campaign / story is not. So I think what we might see happening is Splitgate could even see a resurgence when Halo comes out because it will have had time to add more things to the game. Halo will ship. It will not ship as a full, again, heavy quotations, Halo that people are expecting. Right. They'll get grumpy and they'll go play Splitgate, which just had another shiny new update. So there's some potential here for, I honestly think, some healthy feeding between the two, because Halo's intimidating for me.
I think it's definitely going to get some when I think there might be a lot of people who aren't as much of a fan of this multiplayer as they were hoping. So that's when they'll just dive back into Splitgate, and then there'll be that war. They're like, "Quit Halo! This is bad Halo. Play Splitgate." You know.
I think, yeah. So for me, there's also something beneficial. So Halo is scary for me because I never played it, and I'm going up against people who've played Halo for forever, and I don't really want to jump into that.
Yeah.
But Splitgate was like, well, these are kind of new mechanics, and I'm still against people who've played shooters for forever, but it's not as much, and so it's easier for me to play Splitgate. After playing Splitgate, I've gone, okay, maybe the Halo multiplayer won't be so bad. Maybe I'll play that. Maybe I'll have fun with it. So I think that Splitgate's done a lot to help Halo, and then conversely, like you said, I think that Halo coming out has made people hunger for it, so they go play Splitgate. And I think after it comes out, you might see some cross-pollination.
They do have bots in Halo. I think you would actually enjoy the bots. They're actually pretty good. So
yeah, no, that would work for me.
It's a good way to just like, it's going to be, they have a bot warm-up mode and stuff like that they're planning on having. And I mean, that's what the first gameplay stuff that we got was, and it was really good. And I think you'll actually enjoy it because the bots aren't bad. Like they're actually pretty smart AI relatively. So I think someone who's new to Halo and learning it, it's perfect for them. It's great. It is. I think it's perfect for people who are scared to go into multiplayer. So
the other cool thing is that something that I've always wanted to see in esports are single teams that do multi-titles. And we've only really seen it with battle royales, where someone like DreamHack Winter, there was some kind of like X Games challenge. I don't really remember what it was, but basically there were teams that they were playing H1Z1, PUBG, and something else. And they competed in all three throughout the weekend. And it was like the circuit, like triathlon.
PAX has a big one that they have called the Omegathon, is what they call it. So. And
it would, because the games are similar enough, having a Halo, Splitgate, and then a +1 type. Again, the companies aren't necessarily going to work together like that to create a sanctioned thing for it.
No, of course.
But I do like what that brings up for pro-ams and streamer tournaments. And I think you could have a lot of fun if you did maybe like Team Fortress. I don't think Overwatch would quite work, but I think that would be cool. I don't know. I liked it. I think the game has a lot of potential, but I think what we're both saying is they need to add a lot more to it very quickly. And we just
in general these days, not even just you know,
we've seen this trend like Valheim, Among Us, Fall Guys, like they all needed to be fast with their content or they lose the audience really quickly.
Is one, I think the amazing things, the insane things that Fortnite did is that they were literally dropping new content every single week. Was insanity. That was unheard of, and that's not plausible for any other studio, basically.
Because Epic was already a large, well-funded, they had a full team. Fortnite had been around already. Yeah.
They generated ridiculous money, but they did spend stupid money in order to do that. And Fortnite changed the gaming landscape for sure. It's going to definitely go down in history as one of the more momentous games, I think, that came out for so many reasons. But you know, there's a few bad things. I think people are harsh on it more just because it's the cool thing to hate Fortnite. But I think one of the things that is it did set up people in the mentality of wanting content every week when that's just not plausible, right?
No. All right. So overall feelings. I mean, we kind of talked about them, but
yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm loving it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm having fun with it. It's a good. I'm bored with everything else. Let me hop in here for a little while.
Yeah.
Play a few matches. So.
And you don't have to wait to play anymore. That whole server waiting thing. Yeah. That whole server waiting thing for a free game, by the way. So it wasn't that bad, Joker. is over. They've got lots of servers now. You can hop in and play, which is nice.
Did we even talk about PAX? I just realized. I'm staring at my tickets right here.
We did not talk about PAX.
Really I think PAX is this weekend.
I think you should replace me next episode with someone who goes to PAX to talk about it.
Talk about PAX? I might be able to. I'll talk to him. I'll reach out. So, other than that, what's your rating on this? You gotta give. You know what? Here, I'm gonna give you a scale. All right. Now you're gonna need to. I'll just be honest with you. You're gonna need to improv here a little bit. All right.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to purple giraffe. What's your rating?
Crimson hippopotamus.
Okay. Alrighty. I like it. I'm gonna go with metallic spaghetti.
I am uncomfortable with that image and feeling. This is weird.
I think it would.
This is very weird.
I think it would make a good structure at like an Italian restaurant. You could have that as like a statue of some sort.
Metallic spaghetti. I was thinking like edible gold leaf that they use to decorate desserts with, like on the spaghetti.
But like metal flakes instead of gold flakes?
What?
That would be intense.
Joker. What is gold?
Okay, fair. It's been a great time. Time to go.
I am here to help. So, after our ratings, we always talk about where the media goes from here, which I think we spent a lot of time talking about. So, Splitgate devs, we love what you're doing. Can't wait to see more. And if you've been hanging out with us this whole podcast, and you missed the start of the podcast somehow, we're going to tell you again at the end of the podcast where you can find us and what you can do. So first up, especially if you're listening on Apple, or even if you're listening on another platform and have an Apple account, if you give us that, 12 stars out of 5 rating, and write a nice little review of the podcast, helps a ton with other people to find Joker and I nerding out. So positively reviewed podcast on the Apple Podcast. And then if you are someone who watches this live or checks it out on YouTube or Podbean or wherever else, just know that we're on pretty much all the podcast platforms. Joker does a good job setting that up. Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube, live on Twitch, all those wonderful things. And you can find our social media, Pause Reviewed, Pod, POS Reviewed, POD. Send us comments, screenshots, thoughts, topic ideas, all of that. You can check out all of our other episodes that are a lot of movies and TV shows with the occasional video game, or we could say this is the only video game episode. I think Joker would prefer if we said this was the only video game episode. All right, and then next week, there's 2 possible plans happening.
Right. Either Ness and I be talking about the animated Dota movie show. What is it? Is it
Witcher? Animated Witcher?
Oh, did I say Dota? We already did Dota. We already did that one.
Yes, we did.
That's what I meant.
Joker's had a rough day, everybody. Yeah,
it's been a good start.
That's okay.
That one, or we might be talking about PAX. We'll see. We'll see if there's anything actually happening at PAX. Then we'll talk about it. But otherwise, I don't know. We'll find out. So that's the plan. Other than that, I think that's it. That was Splitgate. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next week.